All right, hello everybody. I'm Tim Baker. I'm here with one of the finalists for the Modern League, Mike Ingram. Mike just completed I don't really want to say, but it was a pretty dominating performance by you against Brad.
Yeah.
It didn't really seem like Brad had a whole lot of interaction with you. You just kind of ran over him, and his deck is kind of built to stop that kind of stuff. So a few things I'd like to talk about in the match. It seemed like Ugin did a lot of work for you.
Which one? Because
both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. The 6-drop Ugin the Ineffable was really, really good in the match. A 2/2 blocker that draws me a card basically is just amazing. Also being able to target his guys and like kill anything that I don't want to see is also very, very good. But most of the time I only want that 2/2 blocker and get the additional card. The plus though is that Ugin, the Spear Dragon, is just a giant board wipe. It literally wipes his entire board. The only thing I had to worry about was if he copied one of my Wormcoil engines or something like that.
Which did happen during game one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you were able to fight through that. The most impressive thing that I thought was your ability to fight through and stay resilient through that dampening sphere in the third game.
Yes.
Was, as soon as you see that come down, now it does turn out that Brad kept a kind of greedy hand,
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of, bit him because he didn't end up drawing the lands that he needed to interact with you. But, once, being a Tron player myself, you see that dampening sphere out that early, you're thinking, oh boy, this is a really uphill battle, but it didn't seem to affect you a whole lot.
No. So I always tell people that against me, you need 2 cards. So like if you've dampening sphere or blood moon, you need another card to follow up with it. You need either something that is a amazingly fast clock, or you need something that basically limits me or destroys my lands, or like basically stops me. Because if you don't have a fast clock and you play Damping Sphere, that's fine, right? It'll just slow me down for like two or three turns. If you don't kill me by then and I start dropping things, then there's an issue. And with the new deck build that I have lower drops and just more interaction cards. So it's easier for me to get around cards like that. So the previous versions of the deck that I was running, it was okay, but like this new version, just having the 6-drop Ugins, and also playing the what they call Baby Karn, like those give me additional outs and additional cards to actually bring in and play. And then for game 3, I also brought in Thragtusks. I figured he would be bringing in mana denouncing things. And like I took out one of my Wormcoils, so because I'd much rather him copy a Thragtusk than a Wormcoil.
Right.
I still had Wormcoils, obviously, but it wasn't nearly as good as a Thragtusk for that situation.
So, and we have a picture or sideboard. What made you board that many Karns out? Did you just think that wasn't as useful as what you were able to bring in?
I expect him to bring in Damping Spheres because he's a lower drop deck, and he plays a lot of stuff on both turns. So Damping Sphere is probably a card that if I was playing, I would definitely play. And I knew he was going to play like actual counter magic. I saw the Force of Negations game 1 and 2. So Karn is actually not that good. So that's why 2 of the 7-drop Karn Liberated came out, and that filled in the slot for 2 Thragtusks because they can't be targeted by the removal that counters that. And he did actually have Ceremonious Rejection, which is also a card that I had to be worried about. I did not think he had that until I saw it game 3, and then when he played it, I was like, well, I definitely sideboarded correctly. So.
Yeah. Yep, it was definitely a very interesting match, and I didn't, looking at that deck, watching the matches, I didn't realize that you would be, everything would be so much in your favor, but it seemed like that it just, and I don't know if it, I think, not the nitpick, but I'm pretty sure if I was Brad in the position, I believe it was game 2, where he had the Scab Ruinator out, and he switched it for the Ninjutsu guy, I probably would have left the board presence of the bigger flyer because you didn't really have a whole lot that you could have done with it.
Yeah. So I was also questioning that. And that was probably a misplay on his end, but at the same time, I understand that he was trying to draw cards because in that game he was trying to get lands as well to try to overrun the board, and he did get me down to 1 life. And I think if he would have played it differently, it would have been different. But at the same time, I don't know when he drew the Brazen Borrower, because if he drew the Brazen Borrower off of his ninja attack, then it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I would have already been gaining life. So it depends on if he had the Brazen Bar already. If he did already have the Brazen Bar already, then I would have kept it out. If not, then I would have just let it go.
Because it seems like a pretty good card in that matchup. Of course, he doesn't know if you board in something like World Breaker where you could block the flyer.
Yeah.
And I guess from Brad's point of view, also you can drop that Ruinator pretty easily.
Yeah.
So
he had Vile on 3, so
right.
so it could just come right back out. And it did. It just didn't get the extra 3 points of damage in. But like I said, I then dropped the Worm Coil, and if he didn't draw it off of there, or within those next 2 draws, so like if he would have drew for his turn, that's fine. But if he would have drew for his turn after he hit with the ninja, then he would have never had that card, and he would have never been able to bounce it.
Yes.
So it could have been something like that.
All right.
You have the price board lined up for the total.
All right. Very good. Well, I appreciate it. Good luck in the finals. If you had to say what card you thought was your best card in that matchup, I mean, I know what my vote would be. It would definitely anything that said Ugin on it. Would that you'd go with that assessment also?
For the way the games played out, I would say that Ugin the Ineffable was probably the best card in that matchup. It was giving me cards off the top of my deck. It was it allowed me to kill 2 of his creatures when I needed to in the entirety of the match. But it drew me a lot of cards. And there was a position in game 1 where I had a Karn and a Walking Ballista underneath the exiled tokens, and I just needed him to block one of them so I could take over the board. And that was the game where he had a Worm Coil, and I knew he was going to gain life, and I didn't care at that point because I needed to get rid of his Worm Coil and then take over the game. And so whenever I swung in with those game 1, that was the whole play, was to make sure that he blocked. If he didn't block, then there's multiple things that could have happened then. But for him just to gain 6 life and just take one of them down, I understand why he blocked there. And I would probably block one too, to be honest with you. But I just needed him to block one of them, and then once he blocked one of them, then I could use it to get rid of his Worm Coil. He did block the correct one though, because I think if I would have been able to play the Karn, it would have been a lot harder for him to deal with. But then again, I then drew a Karn later on and kind of took over the game with that Karn. Yeah. So it, at the time, he made the right choice, and because I really wanted the Karn. But later in the game, I drew a Karn, so it kind of didn't matter. But
all right, very good. Well, good luck in the finals, and we're just kind of waiting to see who you're going to end up playing, and hopefully we get to see another crazy board state like we saw. I'm not really used to seeing that with Tron, but you get all those 2/2 tokens lined up. It's pretty impressive. So, all right, good luck, and we'll see you in the finals.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.